Is being middle class a trap? You don't have the freedom and flexibility of the rich. You don't have the security of those who qualify for welfare. You're just right there somewhere in the middle. So is it a trap? Is it a psychological confinement? We're going to talk about that in this video and use this conversation to help maybe shift your thinking around your quality of life when it comes to your finances and your socioeconomic status. So what would you define as middle class? We know we see median and average incomes thrown up. We see lifestyle factors like how many cars you own, where your kids are going to school, the neighborhoods you live in. But in reality, what is the middle class? What's working class? And is it something that in today's world no longer has a place or is a dying concept? So from the 1970s, at least in America, since the 1970s, maybe the early 1970s to, I believe, up to 2016 or 2021, the middle class has been anywhere from originally 61% and now down to about 51% in that 50-year time frame, from about 1971 to 2021. And there's a lot of hysteria politically and economically around this concept of shrinking middle class, dying middle class, or squeezed middle class. My question to many of you who are working class, who are middle class, somewhere in the median or a little bit above median or average income in your respective states or cities or countries, depending on where you are watching this video. What has that socioeconomic titling been like for you? What has being middle class been? What benefits or what has your quality of life been like being middle class? Because the reality of it is you're stuck right in the middle of a lack of security, but also not quite free to just do what you want to do. But yet you're pivotal to the overall economic system as a whole, and the system never lets you forget that. It's this constant concept of marketing your position to you in the socioeconomic overall structure and construct to promote productivity, to get you to feel encouraged to work harder and keep working forward and being productive in your workspace, so you can continue to push the companies that you work for, or company that you work for, forward. And when you stop and think about your personal quality of life, and your personal experience around this, it's really restrictive. When you stop and think about it, you are stuck in this situation where you have to do everything that you want to do around your working class lifestyle, or around your job, or what's left in your budget. It's a restrictive mindset. And when you start to think about the energy and the focus that gets put into raising minimum wage, fair pay increases, job hopping in order to get a better salary or wage, the restrictions on how many times you can take a vacation or take time off. Some of you have even experienced where you have family members that are sick or in need, or you yourself are sick or in need, and your job doesn't want to let you off, or is trying to penalize you or make you feel uncomfortable because you may need time off. When you start to think about the kind of impact that has on your life, to where you start to say, my kid's birthday is this day of the week, but because of work and finances, we have to wait till the weekend to celebrate it. Or you want to go backpack through a certain country that you have been dying to explore, but you have to wait till a certain time of year because the vacation schedule and where you are in seniority at your job. You need to consider your current socioeconomic status, and you also need to consider why you may be pursuing more when it comes to building wealth. So there are dozens and hundreds of financial tools and strategies out there available, but nothing is truly going to be effective until you start to understand where you are and where you're trying to go and why you're trying to do it. When you start thinking about yourself being middle class, and the connotation that's in the media and the conversations around this, it's constantly an intent to try to confine you to a certain lifestyle where you're doing just good enough to feel comfortable, but not quite good enough to have control. When you stop and think about the income range that is considered working class to middle class, if you had that same income but didn't have to work for it, would you still feel like you're middle class? Think about it. Would you still feel like you're working class? Let's just say you make $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000 a month, $7,000 a month. If you're in a different country, you're in the UK, let's call it pounds, whatever the case may be. Think about where you are economically, where your income is. What does that look like if you didn't have to work for that money? How does that change your psychology around middle class and working class if you had the opportunity to have that income and not have to punch a clock for it? Don't you see how that changes? You see, the reality of it is many of you are tricked into this concept that in order to truly live a higher quality of life, you have to be wealthy, and wealthy has a number on it. You have to be worth 7 figures, 8 figures in order to really have control and a high quality of life. The reality is that that's not necessarily the case. And having many of you chase on this hamster wheel, this artificial narrative or this artificial goal of becoming wealthy is burning many of you out. It's putting you in a position where you're making certain financial moves and moves in your life that are causing more harm than good. Because the reality of it is, real wealth is not achieved focused on the actual financial part. And that's the reality of it. Real wealth is not necessarily achieved by pursuing the money in itself. It's pursuing some passion or higher ideal, some kind of higher goal of accomplishment. So the money is wonderful. And of course, you want the money, that you want what you're worth monetarily. But the reality of it is the most successful people in the world from any various backgrounds, whether they are in business, whether they are in the entertainment industry, they're an athlete, these people have had passion. They either had great big ideas, they had great abilities, and they had the ability to affect millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of people in their lifetime. And they were distributed their economic value in exchange for it. But they did not go in necessarily with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to be a billionaire or 100 millionaire. That was not necessarily what it was about. It was about revolutionizing something or bringing a new idea or bringing unique experiences and touching many, many people doing so. So when you consider yourself middle class or working class and you consider yourself chasing this idea of becoming wealthy, and you're pursuing all of these different avenues to try to get there and nothing sticks, this is the problem. When you're pursuing these different financial strategies and nothing sticks, these different business models and nothing seems to stick, this is part of the problem. You're pursuing the money, you're pursuing the dream, the lifestyle that these people are promoting. And the reality of it is, it's not about that. If you want to become financially successful, then you have to start finding a way to become more unique in the marketplace and becoming less replaceable and bringing value to more people. You cannot do it focused on, allowing yourself to be squeezed over here in this socioeconomic construct of being middle class or working class, and then trying to grapple your way or scrape your way over to being wealthy, trying all these crazy business ideas, joining all these different groups, throwing money, good money after bad money, in investment strategies. And the reality of it is, none of it is going to work. And many of you have already experienced this. You have to switch your mindset. I am all about financial strategies on this channel. I'm all about financial products, tools, and resources, because they work when you have this together. And you have to start finding out how you can start to become unique and become irreplaceable in this economy. And the reality of it is, you, in most cases, will not be able to do this with a W-2 job forever. You're going to have to use your W-2 job to start to elevate yourself into a certain position where you can start to bring whatever unique value that you have, because all of us have something, to the marketplace, and do it in a scalable format. And in most cases, you use your W-2 job to help get you in position to take that risk. So you cannot allow the marketing ploy of this middle class and, chasing this certain lifestyle, how many cars you own, what neighborhoods you live in, and letting that determine whether you're successful or not. That's a psychological ploy. The reality of it is you have to determine it by the level of control you have on your life, the level of freedom and say-so you have on your life, the impact that you have on other people. If you can make $5,000 a month, but you don't have to work for it, how is that not wealthy? How is that not successful? So you see how $60,000 as a W-2 employee versus $60,000 financially, free and retired early. It's two different beasts. It's two different beasts. And this is to show you that it's not about these socioeconomic constructs. It's not about, you make this much a year, or you graduate and have this education level. You live in this neighborhood. You made it. You're successful. It's all BS. It's all BS. The reality of it is you need to start figuring out how you can participate in this economy and what skill sets you can bring or value you can bring to this economy that will affect more people in a positive way. If you want to do it in real estate investing, then what you need to be focusing on is how can I bring more value to the real estate market that I want to participate in? And that may be through landlording, that may be through private lending, that may be through fix and flipping, whatever the case may be, but you have to go into it trying to figure out what you can bring to the marketplace, not how to plug and play into somebody else's business model. That's not what it's about. Yes, you can learn things from these things. You can learn skills, you can learn strategies, but at the end of the day, your path is your own. Your path to success is your own. All your job is to take information from these different resources and compile it into your own personal tool set or strategy, roadmap, or blueprint to success. So whether that's through stocks, real estate, if it's through crypto, whatever the case may be, you need to be pulling your knowledge from all these different resources. And in the meantime, trying to plug it into your true source power and progressing forward, which is your own unique ability to add value. Discover what that is for yourself and allow these other assets, these other strategies, these other information sources to complement it to get you where you're going. Don't let the socioeconomic construct of where you are in life determine whether you're successful or not. Because the reality of it is you making $200,000, $400,000, $1 million a year, but being shackled to a certain lifestyle and not having control over what you're doing with your life, control over your day. You're not impacting people around you in a positive way. Is nothing compared to somebody who makes $75,000 a year, can completely take care of the people that they love, they can control what they do every single day. It has nothing to do with the money in itself. Money is simply a tool, but at the end of the day, it's about your quality of life and your ability to control what you're able to do with your time. So I wanted to put this on your mind and bring this to you. Change the way you're thinking, elevate the way you're thinking. Find out what unique skill sets you have, plug it into these other tools and resources out here available, and let that be your custom blueprint for prosperity. This is JP checking out. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate bringing this content to you. As always, I want y'all to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.